It is opening day for a new year in Major League Baseball. The 2024 MLB season starts today. In just about 5 hours, our first pitch of opening day in Camden Yards in Baltimore between the Orioles and the Angels. Before we get there, we look at the season in its entirety, even on this first day. Craig Mish joins us live right here on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid, our MLB insider, the host of Newswire that begins in just over a half an hour at 11 a.m. Eastern. Craig, we welcome you. We ask you how excited you are for this opening day of the 2024 MLB campaign.
Yeah, very excited. We'll be headed to see the Marlins and Pirates today, 4:05 Eastern at Lone Depot Park. So that will be my destination today. And always fun to dive into what's going to happen over the course of the season. I think baseball, from a prediction standpoint, Ben, sort of stands alone because there's so many games over the course of the regular season. And look, there's so many people out there like me, like you, like Donnie. We get to June and then we make our new predictions for baseball and we say, who's going to win at the end of the season? And we take a look at the odds. But truly, to get it right, I think you got to get it right now. Like, I don't think this is the kind of sport where you can dive back in May or June and say, I told you back in May that this was going to happen. I mean, if you're picking the Cy Young or the Rookie of the Year or the MVP or who's going to win the World Series, you can adjust your opinion. And I know that the betting markets will allow you to change your opinion, but I think you got to do it at the beginning of the season and get it right.
For sure. Listen, injuries happen. Crazy things can occur in a season that has 162 games in a regular year. With that being said, the time is now, and Craig Mish is here on this opening day for 2024. So, Craig, let's start with your World Series pick. Who do you have facing off for a World Series title? Who ends up as the World Series champion in this 2024 MLB year?
I think the Braves are going to finally push through. I guess you could say they did a few years ago. What's crazy, Ben, is they did this all. The Braves won the World Series not that long ago, and they did it without Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, isn't that nuts? Like, this is the best player in baseball, and they still won the World Series. I think this year they get to that deadline or they get toward the end of the season and they say, you know something, we are not going to go down this road once again and just kind of do nothing and assume and hope for the best. I think they make some major adds this year. The Braves pitching is good enough to get through the regular season. I think they'll add more for the postseason. I love the Orioles. They are stacked in the farm system. All systems go. Their window is now. They have Corbin Burns. And I'm going to bank on him healthy. I think the Orioles are the team to beat in the American League. So I got Orioles and Braves this year, with the Braves winning it all, but naturally could be the Orioles too, because I like them a lot as well.
Fun World Series, a couple fresh opponents here, including the Orioles, which means they are all the way back here. New ownership and maybe some changes on the horizon for them as well. But I do see there, Cy Young, you got a young lefty flamethrower from the Detroit Tigers that we're eyeing up in Scuba. What do you think about him this year in 2024?
Yeah, it's a season where you will not predict Verlander to win the Cy Young. You will not predict Garrett Cole to win the Cy Young. So you know that there are some other options. So why go to the favorites in this market right now? I think you got to expect the unexpected. And Scuba, to me, who is now a full year removed from the surgery with no innings limits whatsoever, I think a great prop is for him to win the strikeout market. And if he wins the strikeout market, guys, look out. This guy could win the Cy Young too. I think he's one of the best left-handed pitchers in all of baseball, maybe the best in the American League. I love the market for him this season, and also plays a very soft division where I think a lot of wins and strikeouts could pile up. Scuba will be my Cy Young Award winner this year.
4 years ago in his debut season in MLB, a 5.63 ERA last year, despite that innings limit, and only 80 and a third in total. 102 strikeouts, and the ERA as low as it has been in his 4-year, now 5th-year MLB career at a 2.80 ERA. So, Craig, you like to delve in the middle, not at the top of the market of the win totals. We're not looking at the Dodgers at 102 and a hook. We're not looking at the low part with the A's or teams like that. We're looking at the middle of the market in the mid-70s. What is your favorite win total for the 2024 Major League Baseball season?
Yep, cut and dry. This is going to be, unfortunately, I hate to do it to the Angels fans because they've been beat down already with losing Ohtani, but Angels fans, I think you're in for a really long year. Hard to predict that any team will be worse than Oakland or touch Colorado. I understand those two teams are probably going to be at the bottom, but I got the Angels guys right there. Their win total is low 70s. This is approximately how many games they won last year without Shohei Ohtani. And as far as bold predictions are concerned this year, one that I would make, guys, I know that this is not going to be popular. But I do think this is the end for Mike Trout in Los Angeles. I think the Angels have to take a hard look at what's going on there in that market. They're getting lapped by the Dodgers in that market. And even in Southern California, the Padres are way more popular than they are. It is time for the Angels to stop what they are doing, rebuild that farm system, start over, and wake up 5 years from now and hope you are the Orioles. If they're going to do it, it's got to start at the trade deadline. I think Trout gets moved. I think this is the season. I think Trout heads out at the trade deadline. Some team pushes the pedal to the metal and gets him and says, come help us win a World Series. I think the Angels are going to lose a lot of games this year. I think that total comes nowhere near to the 71 or 72. They could potentially lose 95, 100 games this year.
I wouldn't feel bad for the Angels fans. Never really. Yeah, I've actually never even met an Angels fan. Outside of Ben, are there any Angels fans in Southern California? We'll never know at this point.
Ugly scene, Donnie. Ugly scene, Donnie. Ugly scene. Didn't like that. You don't hear me saying you're a Mets fan. Didn't like that. We have to let Craig go now. He's got to prepare for Newswire. It starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. Donnie, we can break down the rest of the slate. We got to let Craig go. He came on. He gave us his season picks. All right?
That's it.
Yes, Craig. What were you saying?
No, I'm saying that's it. I gave you all my best material here on the show. You guys moved me around on the show, and here I am helping you guys at the end of the season. Hey, a few years ago, years ago on the early line, we did the same exact thing. I gave Corbin Burns 40-1 to win the Cy Young. He won it. Okay, I'm doing the same thing for you guys here on the show today. Go get him in. Have a great opening day, and I'll see you guys again soon. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, Craig. We got 162 days of this, so. We know you will be back. Enjoy Newswire today. Enjoy Lone Depot Park and the start for the year for the Miami Marlins. We will talk very soon. And, of course, see you on Newswire in less than a half an hour at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. DRS, we can break down the games on this opening day. We'll do that here. We start with that showdown in the American League in H-Town. It's the Astros and the Yankees. Not often, DRS, are we going to see the Yanks as a pretty considerable underdog, but with Carlos Rodon getting the start today, Nestor Cortez, I don't know where Rodon came from, plus 128 for the Pinstripes. Other side, it's Framber Valdez for the Houston Astros at minus 152. Would you lean against the favorites at home to begin opening day?
I don't know if you lean against the favorites particularly, but overall, let's just say through the month of April, you're probably going to be taking a ton more dogs than you are the favorites. And particularly in this game for me, I'm going to lean on the underdog, which is the New York Yankees. Now, having said that, if we don't have statistics to go off of, and if anybody's like, hey, man, you know what, Ben? 2 weeks ago in spring training when he faced a lineup that won't be in Major League Baseball, Nestor Cortez was tremendous. We're not banking on that. So the only thing you can go off of are last year's statistics. If you remove the pitchers, they're both lefties. Both of these lineups, Ben, absolutely smashed left-handed pitching. We're going to use a lot of these terms in Major League Baseball season. ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages. You want some green lights in that Houston lineup? You absolutely got it. Guys that mashed last year, Altuve, Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, Abreu, and McCormick. That's the anticipated 1 through 6 in the lineup today that crushed lefties. Flip it over to the Yankees, going up against Framber Valdez, who is a solid pitcher and had a great season last year. But look at this lineup here. Torres, Soto, Judge, Stanton, and Volpe absolutely hammered left-handed pitching. You're taking a look at weighted on base percentages, routinely close to 400 for all 5 of those guys anticipated in the lineup today for the Yanks. Now, I'm not saying you're supposed to take totals based on what we saw last year, and I do think these two pitchers should be decent in this game, and I told you already, I lean towards the Yankees as a dog price. But if this lets you say 3 weeks into the season and these numbers were popping up, we would be flying on RBI totals in this game, no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely so. I can't wait for Donnie Rightside to start integrating WOBA back into the vocabulary throughout this MLB campaign. DRS, we've got 13 games on opening day. That means 26 Major League Baseball clubs. 24 of the 26 can either win 162 or lose 162. The possibilities truly are endless. 2 of those teams cannot. The 1-1 San Diego Padres, the 1-1 Los Angeles Dodgers. The debut at the Ravine today in Los Angeles. The Dodgers hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. It is the largest moneyline price on the board. It is minus 230 in favor of LA. I wonder, DRS, knowing how heavily booked the Dodgers are going to be this year, if you were to bet the moneyline price of the underdog for 81 of the 162 games, how much money you would see in return. Is there any thought in doing that with the Redbirds on this opening day.
I don't know if it's, and again, if you're going to take him, you probably would take him opening day. And the point you're making is wise. Just take a look at the opening series over in Korea in the Seoul series. Like, the Dodgers didn't win both games 10-1. Like, hey, you can't bet against the Dodgers. They lost one of those baseball games, and quite frankly, theoretically, might have lost two of those if not for a comeback in game number one. So the Dodgers are going to lose games. They're not going to go 162-0. And quite frankly, they can't, because they already went 1-1. But this team on a day-to-day basis, the way you attack the Dodgers, again, the prop markets are fantastic. Yes, you're going to be shaded a little bit toward the Dodgers, but if they win, Mookie Betts to get a base hit, Ohtani to get an RBI, Freddie Freeman to get an RBI, Will Smith to hit a home run, they're much better for the Dodgers in the regular season than saying like, oh yeah, today's the day I'm going to lay a minus 380 price on a routine day-to-day basis. That's the way I would approach the Dodgers. But also, don't be afraid to bet against them. Even the worst teams in Major League Baseball going to win 50 to 60 games here, which means the Dodgers also going to do the same. Going to lose probably 50 to 60 games.
And the Cards aren't one of those worst teams, despite finishing last in the Central a year ago. They're the favorites entering this year. The Cubs and the Rangers, that's a ball game tonight in Arlington. 9 of the 13 games today will be between, or at least before 7 p.m. Eastern time.